Now it's time for America's Talking with headlines from across the country. You can find these stories and more at thecentersquare.com. Get that free newsletter in your inbox every morning. Now, we've been talking a lot about education and even property tax, with Pennsylvania looking to pass a digital ad tax that legislators there say is going to provide some offsets for seniors when it comes to high property taxes. But state houses have a little impact on property taxes. It really starts to make a difference when you get down to that local level, your municipality, your school district, and so on. But to give you an example of how exactly state houses are looking to tackle these types of things, they're looking for exemptions for veterans in some areas. This coming out of Arizona's state house earlier this week.
Regarding the veterans' property tax exemption, effective for taxable years beginning January 1 of 27, it expands the disabled veteran property tax exemption to allow the surviving spouse of a disabled veteran to continue to claim the exemption if the spouse moves to another property. Additionally, it removes the income limits for disabled veterans and their surviving spouses to be eligible to receive either a partial or full property tax exemption on their primary residence.
A lot of people look to state houses to control their property taxes. Again, comes down to the local governments and their ability to manage their own finances. When it comes to local governments, you've got school districts, administrators being paid there. Some states have transportation costs. You've also got the variety of different other taxing bodies that may be on your property tax bill, from library districts to college districts, even park districts, and your municipality, village, or township. And these various measures that are in place to tax your property, it's going to pay for operations, going to pay for personnel, and sometimes going to pay for individuals who aren't even working anymore when it comes to public sector pensions. But are the local municipalities able to manage the finances they're already getting through those property taxes? In Charlotte City, North Carolina, property tax management and how to pay their employees was something that was brought up during a recent hearing, and the discussion about just how much they can increase their property taxes on residents.
Council, and as the manager said, it would be around $4.4 million. And as he said at the beginning, the 1.89% proposed property tax increase, the whole of that is towards public safety. So we went through and said, based on your feedback, can you cut it and please don't raise it more? We reallocated some, and these in this list on this table here are enhancements that were proposed as part of the 1.89 cent property tax, that we would now draw those back and use that funding towards the extra 3% in salaries.
In other areas of the country, there are conversations of allowing for voters to have a say in their property taxes, and whether or not they can have higher taxes imposed on taxpayers just simply by a municipal council's vote, instead of going to taxpayers and voters to ask for those types of tax increases. But there's also other things that people are looking to pay for when it comes to property taxes. As we've discussed, you've got education. You've got city hall responsibilities, from public safety like police and fire, to pensions, to infrastructure, to library districts, park districts, and so on. But where else can they send that money? In Nevada, late last month, there was conversation about how to fund outdoor resources, and an advocate for outdoor resources telling legislators in Nevada that some other states coming up with different ideas to tax their taxpayers more to fund outdoor operations.
It is important to note that the collective sporting community will always be happy to fund our passions, since we were the first and always will be the first community to reach a little deeper into our pockets in order to help our wildlife. But given the immense funding needed to right the ship in our public lands habitat, we need to start thinking of some 21st century ideas in order to do so. Missouri uses a portion of their sales tax to fund their state wildlife agency. Oregon just passed a law charging a 1.25% lodging tax that goes to conservation. Florida and South Carolina levy a real estate transfer tax, which funds their wildlife corridors. I mention these examples to flag that if we put our collective conservation minds together here in Nevada, we might come up with the next great conservation funding idea.
Again, you've got the state houses discussing different ways to manage how property taxpayers are paying those property taxes, exactly who could be exempt, be it senior citizens, be it veterans with disabilities, or even the spouses of those veterans. A whole different scope of conversations being had on the state level, but comes down to that local level and the advocacy of certain organizations to raise taxes, to do a host of things like paying for mental health issues, or more education, or new school buildings, and so on. We'll be keeping an eye on that for you at thecentersquare.com. Get the newsletter in your inbox.